ever episode, huh?
Oh, you didn't even start it off like the right way. You're supposed to be like,
No.
"Hey, everybody, and welcome
Listen.
to the first episode of the PorchFitcks Podcast."
Listen,
You
is
fucking idiot.
is there any right way for us? Let's get the screen going here.
With you? No,
No,
not
no,
really.
no, not at all. Not
Definitely
at all.
not how that goes.
No, no, not in the slightest bit is it ever normal when it comes to me and or me and you together. It's even worse at that point.
That is very fair. That is very, very, very fair. Well, I guess let's just do this. As we had talked about previously when we were doing these streams and talking to the survivors and some of the just supporters in general, the idea of a podcast got brought up. Now, this is something that we had talked about, honestly, a lot in the past, and we figured,
At
you
length.
know what, with the release of the documentary, excuse me, with the release of the documentary and everything else coming out and all these people coming forward, we figured now would probably be a pretty good time to do it due to the fact that both of us were there.
Facts.
So,
Facts.
that being said, while initially, we were gonna. Actually, the name was not going to be PorchFitcks. You can
No, it
absolutely
wasn't.
thank Nick for that one. While he was so eloquently trying to tell people to not grab their pitchforks
I almost said it again.
because he can't speak correctly, we came out with PorchFitcks.
No,
And as
I
he
came
said,
up with-
PorchFitks, everybody just started going and talking, and then it was PorchFitks. So I told him, well, there's our podcast name. So
Originally, it was
Here
going to
we
be.
are.
Originally, it was either going to be Web of Lies or For the Voiceless. But because I'm an idiot, and we were on a live stream, and I said Porch Fix because my brain goes too fast for my mouth, and I, stumble when I speak. Here we are.
yeah, pretty much. So you're just definitely thank you for that one, sir, and your lovely brain at times.
What can I say? Appreciate
It's wonderful.
You. Thank you for the acknowledgement, sir. Thank you.
Absolutely, and anything to help.
Well, for those of you that are here on the live stream, all right, this is going to be getting uploaded to YouTube and Spotify when we are done recording. While we're doing the Q&A section, I will be in the process of editing out the very beginning and getting this prepped and uploading it as fast as possible. And then for those of you that are now listening to this in the future on YouTube and Spotify, you can catch us live on twitch.com/scourge on all or at kick.com/bombtoaster, but bombed_toaster. And you can join in on the Q&A sessions, which that's going to be much later on in the future, what we're going to be doing with all that. Those will be recorded but not uploaded. That's for much later on down the line. Yeah, welcome to the podcast. Which started because I misspoke and everybody was yelling at us in a chat that we have to do a podcast. So now we're doing a podcast.
Yeah, basically.
Really?
Well,
Really? Again?
I guess to kind of go with this, not anything different. I guess to kind of elaborate on this a little bit. So, as you said, for those of you that are here with us live, we're going to go through this. We're going to do this initial episode, this introduction, and introduce all of you who already know us, but introduce the people that will be listening to this in the future to who the hosts are, how we met, all that fun stuff, and why we're even remotely doing this at this point in time. But after the recording is done, we were obviously going to continue with the stream, and we're going to have the Q&A section that we've done for the past couple of weeks. Let the conversation go. We'll talk. We'll hang out. All of that fun stuff, and just kind of let the conversation carry on as it normally does. So that being said, for everybody that's here in the live stream, just make sure that when the time comes in, it's uploaded to Spotify and we blast that link everywhere. All of you just go and share it and watch it and do all of that fun stuff. And we will be doing this on a bi-weekly cadence for now. The streams will continue on a weekly cadence, but the podcast recordings will be bi-weekly for now until we get to a point where maybe there's more demand. We have other things situated. We start to dive into the other programs, which we're going to get to, but we will dive into that towards the end of this episode. But for now,
Yep.
Nick, why don't you go ahead and start us off, bud?
All right, everybody. Well, for those of you that know me, good to see you again. Welcome. For those of you that don't know me, that are first-time listeners or first-time viewers, I am Nick, also known as Bob Toaster. Slightly psychotic and kind of stupid, but I am a survivor of the Academy of Ivy Ridge, as made famous by the most recent Netflix documentary, The Program. I was there in 2005. I was there for 9 months, and yeah, I was an eyewitness to multiple physical abuses, mental abuse, psychological abuse. I was a victim of physical abuse, mental abuse, psychological abuse, and sexual assault and abuse. It was no joke. It's never fun to talk about. You may hear us make some dark jokes here and there, but hey, if you can't laugh about your trauma, what the fuck?
That's about a guarantee. No, there is no you may hear us make jokes. It's a thing that's definitely going to happen. Sorry in advance.
If we can't make jokes about our trauma, the only other thing we can do about it is cry. And I'm tired of crying. So yeah, that's kind of me in a nutshell. I was in the Success family in 2005, and yeah, there's not really much to it more than that. We'll get into the meat and potatoes down the line here, but Jack, if you will.
Well, sure, there you go. That's my name. For those of you that are here, obviously you know me as Jack. For those of you that have seen me in the groups, on Twitch, Scourge on TTV. Normally it just kind of goes by Scourge. It's easier because back in the previous streaming days, my actual handle was Bleeding Scourge in a whole bunch of letters and numbers, and it confused the shit out of people. So I changed it to Scourge on Mixer, and that was back in the days of a much more fun platform. Anyways, yeah, so moved over here, and now it's Scourge on TTV, and on Kick it's Scourge on All, and basically it's Scourge on fucking everything. So moving on, I was also in Academy in Ivy Ridge from March of 2005 to March of 2006. I did not graduate. I was pulled on my year date. But I think kind of the main point of us doing this is obviously Nick and I met each other in the program, which against all fucking odds was a thing that somehow we were able to maintain out of the program. And we'll get into that in a little while. But ultimately, what you're going to get from us with this is we have Nick, who gave absolutely no fucks about anything of the sort in there.
Zero fucks
and
whatsoever.
You have me, who was 50-50. I gave absolutely no fucks in the beginning, and then it got to the point where I was beaten down enough that we were like, maybe I should try to fucking do something so I can get out, so I can get him out, and we'll explain that too, so everybody has their little bit of background information on us. But all you need to know at this point in time, we met in the program, he left before me, and when I got out, found him, called him, and a couple years later, we met up for the first time after the program, and it was absolute chaos. And here we are, all these years later, still going, still doing this, and now with the resurgence of all of this buried shit, we're here to do this and talk to all of you and give the people that are no longer with us a voice, and give the people that are still stuck in captivity a voice, and try to spread enough awareness and help people to understand exactly what went on in these places. So, welcome to the shit show, and I'm gonna let that man over there do his thing. So go ahead, bud. Tell us a little bit about your life, about your story, about your time in Ivy Ridge, and how much you absolutely loved the fucking program.
Oh yeah, I loved it. I cupped the balls of the program, and yeah, no, I'm not even not even close. I was a level 1 0 points my entire time in the program. For those of you that don't know, or that haven't watched the documentary, or have a little refresher, there was a point level system, level 1 through 5. And I never made it past level 1, except for a couple of times when a certain bald, bearded, ginger pain in the ass snuck points onto my account. And I lost them within 45 minutes because staff it. If you don't know what that means, don't worry. You'll catch on as the episodes go on. But staff that shit. So I was at Ivy Ridge because I was doing bad in school. My mother really didn't know what to do with me. I was rebelling. I was 16. I was also sent there for therapy because I was grieving. My father was a 9/11 firefighter, and I wasn't really fucking handling it too well. And I don't blame her for sending me when we had talked about it a lot after she had pulled me out. Not in depth, but we had. But my time at Ivy Ridge was, let's just say, not pleasant in the slightest bit in any way, shape, or form. From getting restraint to getting thrown into the no-camera room, which if you watch the documentary, it's there. If not, go watch it. You'll understand a little bit more. And intervention pretty much nonstop every week. I was at study hall damn near every single day. I'd get restraint at least 3 times a week. It was painful. It was a painful experience for me. There's a couple of seminars that I went to. Really only 2 of them, but I failed out of my first orientation because I said, what the fuck is this stupid shit? And I got heard, and I was told to fuck off.
And then I show up in the program, and we met in orientation.
Yeah. And I made him laugh while we were sitting in the chairs at the beginning. And I was just kind of sitting there and kind of humming to myself, and he just kind of looked at me, and I was like, what a real Slim Shady. Please stand. Like, just being stupid because people were sitting up and down, and he just starts trying to not laugh, and I was just like, are you Slim Shady? And he was like, shut the fuck up. I was like, I'll be your Slim Shady. And he was like, we're going to get in so much fucking trouble. I was like, I've already got kicked out once. I don't really give a shit. And that was kind of the start of our friendship. And then I made it through orientation, barely. I think the only reason why I made it through orientation is because every single time somebody was getting close to me and I was flirting with a girl, somebody would, like, kick me, punch me, or just fucking like clear his throat to get my attention, so I'd shut the fuck up. The whole time I did nothing but crack jokes. He was cracking jokes. We were making fun of the bitch who was doing the seminar because she was like stuttering at times, and yeah, it got wild real quick.
It was Miss Jan for our first one for that one.
Yeah,
because we got Ruth for Discovery.
Yeah, and it was one of those things where we had to try our best to play along. But we weren't playing along. We just somehow kind of didn't get noticed, which was real good. We just coasted on through while being complete and utter dickbags because we took nothing serious. I remember I got singled out, and Jack sat there trying to not laugh because he could see my hand in my pocket pinching myself to, like, make me cry. And I just started talking about, like, the most random shit. I lied about doing coke and, like, all this shit because, I mean, you weren't allowed to be there for just school. So I, fuck it, fabricated a bunch of shit. Whatever, just get me out of this fucking room. And then after that, much later on, I went to Discovery. I don't remember going to Discovery. I don't remember ever being in that room for that fucking seminar, but according to my paperwork, I was there. What else? Let's see. One of the highlights of my program at Ivy Ridge, though, was a game called Headache that I invented with with this man here next to me on the screen. And I got really bored one day. I had just gotten the hell beat out of me in a restraint. We were in study hall, and I wasn't handing him my sheets, and I didn't have a clipboard, and I didn't pick one up, and Jack decided that he was gonna, like, dead leg me for, like, a smart-ass comment. I was like, don't start that. You won't like where this goes. And he was like, you ain't gonna do shit, bitch. And I was like, all right, bro. All right, man. Can I get a clipboard? I don't have one. I'll actually write my sheets this time. Knowing I wasn't going to write a fucking thing, but they didn't need to know that. Grabbed my clipboard, and as I went to sit down, I made sure to, like, turn in a full circle, kind of like Zoolander style, like I couldn't turn left. So, like, I just turned right all the way, and as I rotated to, like, sit, just wham, right in the back of the head, and just sat down and went, so you got a headache yet? And he was just like, I'm going to beat the shit out of you. And then from there, it escalated to keyboards, smashing each other's faces into the computer monitor, blasting each other back of the head with the W section of the encyclopedias, which, if you guys have ever grabbed the encyclopedia, the W is a thick boy, okay? That sumbitch hurts, okay? But yeah, no, like you said, we had made a pact at some point, only after a couple of days after orientation, that whoever was to make level 2 first was to continue the program and try their best to go through, and the other guy was to take as much heat as possible to make them A, look good, and B, so that they could get away with the sneaky shit. It just so happened about 5 minutes after making that that pledge to one another, I got singled out by a dorm parent who absolutely fucking hated me, and it quickly led to a restraint, but the guy, like, slipped while grabbing me, and my arm kind of landed on Jack's lap, and I went, grab my arm, grab my arm, grab my arm. And he was just looked at me, he's like, grab my fucking arm. And he grabbed it, and he got an extra, like, 200 points for helping with the restraint. Meanwhile, all he did was, like, take his hands and, like, hold it on his thigh. And I'm pretty sure I was rubbing his leg when that happened, like, just to fuck with him. And, I got dragged off the study hall. He got awarded extra points, and before you know it, it was off to the races. Every time I saw him, I did everything I could. Anytime I saw anybody in my family doing, cheat sheets or doing anything that they were going to get caught for, if the dorm parent was walking by, fuck it, I don't give a fuck. Fuck all these motherfuckers. At the time, I was 17. When I first arrived, I was 16, and then a month later, turned 17. So I didn't care. I was like, worst comes to worst, I'm here till my fucking birthday again, and I'm out the fucking doors. So I ain't playing this fucking game. I don't give a fuck. And because of that, it was a very bloody, painful experience. As I said earlier, I had also been a victim of sexual assault and abuse. Due to the guidelines of where this will be getting uploaded, I'm not going to go into details. But to say the least, I was touched in ways during situations that nobody should go through, and forced to commit some things that I should have never been forced to commit, and things that were forced on me. So, yeah, that's kind of the extent of my stay at Ivy Ridge. I got pulled in November of 2005. My mother was fighting with the administration and the staff in emails, which in my file, I have them. Not all of them. I have a few. And I was at the time doing one-on-one therapy, which I was allowed to do once every 2 weeks if I was lucky. So I had to behave the day before my therapy sessions, otherwise I wasn't allowed to go. I didn't go to a lot of them. But I did go, and my therapist was talking with my mom, saying that in one-on-one therapy I was progressing, but that the school was not a good fit for me, that I wasn't working the program, that I would never work the program, that I would never adhere to the rules there, and that it is not a place that I'm going to grow. It's going to be a detriment to all the work that we've been doing one-on-one. And then as that was getting discussed, the accreditation issue, the infamous accreditation issue of Academy of Ivy Ridge rose. And my mother and a family friend of mine, of ours, Dusty, love you, Dusty, started digging into everything and looking at complaints from other students, looking at the accreditations lists and, like, all the issues with it. Got in touch with the DA and, like, the Board of Education and stuff like that, and was doing a lot of digging. See, there's my fucking mouth again, bro. See, this is why the podcast is named PorchFitcks, all right? She was doing a lot of digging. Shut up. I see you judging me with your eyes. Just shut up.
Apparently you're trying to fuck the audience right now.
I mean, hey, listen, we got a lot of lookers in the live stream, all right? You and I both know this.
Shut up and just keep talking. How's that for a confusion?
What?
I said shut up and keep talking. See, that doesn't quite work.
I know, I was confused.
Move on with your dicking.
Okay. So PC1 was coming around, and staff was emailing my mother about PC1. And, hey, are you going to attend? We seen you didn't do Discovery, but your son did Discovery. Yeah, my mother stopped doing the seminars and stopped giving a shit real quick, apparently. And she had tried for a couple of months to get me out, but in the contract she had a fiscal obligation, a financial obligation, that I had to be there a minimum of 10 months. So she was trying to pull me prior to that, but because they kept holding that over her head, she couldn't pull me sooner. So she waited for PC1 to come about. She said that she would be attending PC1, but not for the seminar, but to get me the hell out of there. And my family rep, Miss Cass, one of the admins, Tammy, and somebody else is in those letters as well, tried to convince her that you need to go to PC1 and see the results for yourself and blah, 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 and we fucking suck. And my mother said, yeah, no, not going to happen. You guys aren't accredited. They tried to argue that, and she goes, yeah, well, even then, his therapist is saying that he shouldn't be there, that he's progressed in one-on-one therapy, and that's all I've really wanted. He can't get his diploma from there because you guys are full of shit. I am pulling my son, and there is nothing you could do to stop me because in our contract it states that he would be able to accept and receive school credits and a diploma if he was a graduate, and he no longer can. Therefore, our contract is null and void, and I'm taking my son. So sort of shit, come PC1, yank. I didn't know what was happening. I got told by Chris Showers to come with him, which was one of the admins there. He kind of oversaw everything, was for the day-to-day. He wasn't a dorm parent, but just kind of walk around and oversee things. And he brought me into the bathroom. He said, wash your face. I was like, all right. So I started washing my face, and I guess I didn't wash myself good enough because he decided to grab me and just, like, smother me in water and the brown paper towels that feel like sandpaper and just wipe me down from, like, the neck up. And, like, he was like, all right, that's good enough. Went to a room, and my mother and my stepfather were there. And I was like, what the fuck is this? And they were like, you're leaving, this, that, and the third, da-da-da. I was like, well, I got my journal. They were like, where's your binder? And my exact words were, I don't care about my binder. They're like, okay, well, you're able to leave. I was like, I'm not leaving without saying goodbye to Jack. I'm not leaving without saying goodbye to a couple of the guys. And they're like, you're not allowed to say anything to anybody. And I went, oh, yeah? Fucking watch me. Because I knew they weren't going to restrain me with my mother and stepfather there. And my stepfather was a big fucking dude. And I was like, I went right out the fucking door. Mr. Garvey went and said something. Mr. Braswell went to go grab for me, and my stepfather walked forward, and he backed up. I went out the door. I made a right, made a left, and there was Jack right in front of me, and I dove through the door, basically, and fucking hugged him. And the dorm parent was in there, was like, what the fuck? And at the same time, we both kind of looked at him, told him to shut the fuck up. I hugged him. Okay, I told him to shut the fuck up. Jack just went, please. Because at that time, Jack's in upper level, doesn't want to get fucked over, so he couldn't do that. I could, because fuck him. And that was it. I told him I will be calling your parents. I'm going to get you out of here. I had his number hidden in my journal. I'm going to get you out of here, brother. I love you. Fucking find me. And he's like, I promise I will. And I was like, fucking find me. I will find you. And I left. And then the door shut behind me. And I realized I was outside. And I freaked the fuck out. I did not know what the fuck to do with myself. Instantly started panicking, hyperventilating, sweating my fucking dick off. I was bugging out. And then I turned around and was like, I gotta get Jack. I gotta get Jack. I can't leave without him. I can't. And I went to the doors and tried to open them back up. But because of the magnetic locks, I couldn't do shit. And my mom, I was like, I banged on the fucking door. I yelled, fuck Ivy Ridge. Fuck all of you. And I yelled, Jack, I love you. And went back out through the second set of doors. Walked out with my mom and dad. I looked back at the building, and I fucking cried the entire time I was in that car. And then we pulled over because I started throwing up. And my mother got in the back seat with me. And she held me. I just held her, and I didn't let go. And my stepfather kept driving. Went to a hotel. They had brought some clothes for me to change into. So I went to the hotel. And I took my shirt off, and I was covered in bruises, and my mother could see my ribs. When I went into the program, I weighed about 130, 140 pounds. When I got out, I weighed less than 100 pounds. I always say 80 because I'm not quite sure where I was, but like for whatever reason, that number kind of sticks out in my head. And my stepdad like freaked the fuck out and instantly was making phone calls to a couple of paramedics that he knew. We went out to a mall nearby, and on the way there, he got me like 6 bottles of Gatorade. He got me some muscle milk. Like, he got me a bunch of stuff that the paramedics were saying, have him drink this stuff, have him drink it slowly, like this, that, and the third. We went and got some clothes, and they told me I was going to a new boarding school, and I flipped the fuck out. My mom was like, no, not like that, not like what you just left. And I was like, I swear to fucking God, I will fucking dive into the St. Lawrence fucking river. I don't care if I fucking drown. And she was like, no, this is a legit boarding school. They want you to come there. They want you to play lacrosse there. And instantly, I started fucking crying. I bugged the fuck out. And that was it, man. From there, it was a bumpy road and got hectic, and I kept my promise. I called Jack's parents fucking every day, nonstop for months. Just absolutely blowed up that phone bill. And then, yeah, that's pretty much it. And then eventually he got out, and we linked up, and now we're here. So, sir, feel free to elaborate on your stay at the amazing hospitality of Academy of Ivy Ridge. I'm kidding. It wasn't amazing. It was a hellhole. I'm sorry.
See, I was just going to say it wasn't like that and just let you keep going. It seems like you were kind of getting on a roll there.
I'm sorry.
No, go for it. Hey, man.
Sorry, guys. No, bro. It's up to you, homie. No, it's on you. I did my part. Now it's up to you.
What if I don't want to?
You have to.
Technically, I don't have to do shit. I could just let you babble. I just got to say a word or two, and you just be like, actually, you know what?
Yeah, but you know what? In our notes, it says that we're both going to do it. You have to adhere.
Oh, fuck.
You have to adhere to those notes, you whore.
I got to adhere to a goddamn thing. All right, so, I was definitely sent to Ivy Ridge because I was an asshole of a kid. So just going to start it off with that. I was very much in the rebellious phase when I was a teenager against my father and all that fun stuff. And I'm not really going to go into more detail on that. Just know that basically I ran away from home and I came back and there was stuff and things and a bunch of bullshit happened. And 2 weeks later, my mother woke me up and said, I'm taking you to school. And I was like, cool. That means I don't have to take the bus. And we got in the car. And she decided to go pick up both of my uncles, which lived right around the block from me. And they were like, all right, we're taking you to your new school. And they sat me in the back seat of the car with the child fucking safety lock on, so I could not jump out of the fucking car. Just very smart play on their part, because that is the first thing I fucking tried. And my mother just looked at me and just gave me the look, and I was like, she knew. So we took the drive from Staten Island all the way up to Ogdensburg. I remember pulling up to the front of that school and seeing it, and you're like, you see it when you first pull up to there, and like it doesn't look bad. Like the grass was all cut, it was like nice. You saw the sign, like it did not look bad. I was like, oh shit, all right, this place is like kind of nice looking. I didn't hear anything about the place. I didn't know anything about it. They just brought me there, didn't tell me a damn thing. And so we get there and we walk up to these doors and we go in, and then I hear the buzzing sound as they unlock the magnetic doors. And as we walk through those doors, I see Pride family walking in line structure against the wall and doing their little 90-degree turns as they're going down towards the group room. Then I was like, what the fuck is this? And I saw one of the kids in Pride family, which actually wound up being my Hope buddy, look at me and mouth the words, turn around and run. And I was like, oh shit. And as I went to turn around, that ever so wonderful sound of the magnetic doors slamming shut. Yeah, that was that. So they brought me into the parent lounge, which, for those of you that have seen the documentary, it was literally the one room that just did not fit with the rest of that facility.
Oh,
It had like the leather couches, like this mahogany fucking table. Like it was a gorgeous looking room. You're like, oh shit, this is kind of dope. And we go in there, and I was like, I got to go to the bathroom, and decided that I was going to try and run out of the bathroom window. And that's when I found out that all of the windows are fucking gated, and that is not happening. So I was like, oh shit, this is not good. So they sat in there for a couple minutes contemplating what I was going to do. Am I going to fight my way out? Am I going to do it? But I was like, but those damn magnetic doors, I don't think I could get those open. So I go out, and they're like, all right. And Amy Ritchie did my intake. So she's like, all right, take off, your jewelry. So, being the New York kid at the time, I had the watch, I had the bracelet, I had the necklace, so I fucking take everything off, and I give it to my parents, and they're like, you'll get this back. And I just kind of looked at her, and they're like, and Amy's like, no, the only thing he'll be able to have is that. And she points to the watch, but she's like, that's much later on. And I was like, all right. So we're sitting in this room, and I'm like, I'm just angry at this point, and I'm like trying to just not let myself fucking cry of the situation because I was so fucking mad. And they all gave me a hug. They're like, just do what you got to do and get out of there and come home. And I'm like, all right. And my mother's all in fucking tears and shit. And they come and grab me, and they bring me down to the dorms. And just walking through and seeing it, like you first walk into that place, and it's scary shit, because you're like, what the hell is this place? Like, it's all just fucking monochrome and fucking dreary, and you're just sitting there and you're seeing all these fucking robotic kids just walking and staring up the fucking computer screens, and you're like, what is this shit?
It's so bland.
And you get brought into the fucking dorms, and they're like, all right, strip. And you're like, excuse me? Strip. And you're like, no. And then of course they're like, they're on that type of time if you don't do it. So you're like, oh, okay. So, squat and cough, and there you go. And you get in there, and you're like, all right, well, this is my new fucking home for God knows how long. And right off the bat, everything starts fucking gray sweatpants, white t-shirt, socks, and fucking slides on, and that's what you get to wear, because when you first get there, while they're in the process of getting you a uniform, you are on run watch and suicide watch. So your first couple nights there, you're sleeping in the hallway. In this place where you've never been, with a bunch of people you don't fucking know, surrounded by a bunch of kids, a bunch of fucking just adults that all look like assholes, and you're sitting there sleeping in the fucking hallway in a dorm room where it's just lined with kids. There's a bunch of doors, there's staff at the end of the hall on both sides, and there you are in the fucking hallway, and you're like, what the fuck is this?
See, I'm surprised you remember all that from when you first got there. All that was just a blur for me.
Yeah,
like, I just remember going up to the doors, that's it. Like, I don't remember shit.
No, I'll never fucking forget that. I'll never forget that sound from when I walked in, because I was like, oh, this is not a good situation. It's like, normally I try to find my way out of these types of situations, but there was no way for me to be able to get out of that.
No, the only thing I remember from my first day is the strip search. Like, other than that, like, the first 2 days are just complete fucking blur. And then I remember getting my first slam, like, on day 3. Other than that, I didn't even remember the parent room. I didn't remember that's what it was called.
Yep. The parent lounge. Yeah, so you get there, and your first 3 days in the program, you're what's called a Hope Buddy, which basically means just to kind of get this established for it. What they had mentioned in the documentary about not being able to talk and not being able to look out the windows and not being able to look at the other kids, you literally cannot. That is absolutely factual. That there was no exaggeration in that. The only difference is for your first 3 days there, you are allowed to talk to your Hope Buddy, because your Hope Buddy is that, I mean, for lack of a better way to put this, is your only hope in those first 3 days to teach you all of the rules. So we'll dive more into that at other points of times, but basically that was kind of just the beginning of it. And as I said, kind of in the beginning of this, when I was doing my initial introduction, I was very much one of the, I don't give a fuck about this place, I'm not doing this, I quite simply fucking hate it here type of person when I first got there. So seeing how things went, the day I got off Hope Buddy and was allowed to lose points is the day I lost all my fucking points in Mod Up and Study Hall. And it just kind of carried on for a couple of months. And, you know, then you're sitting there and you're just trying to figure out what the hell it is with this place. You get, you know, consequences if your fucking tie is wrong, if your shirt is untucked in one spot,
if you fart,
if your button isn't done up right on your shirt, if it's crooked, if your shoe's not tied, if you don't do a good enough 90-degree fucking pivot at a corner, if your drink in your cup is above the fucking line on the little fucking plastic bit on there, the fucking line, if your drink was above that, that's a consequence. It's all of these things that for kids that were there for any amount of time, over a month or 2 or 3 months, those rules are just instilled in their head. So while the Hope Buddy is actively telling you, make sure you do the 90-degree turn, make sure you're not messing around, you're not horse playing, don't talk without permission, don't lie, don't say I want to go home, definitely don't say I want to go home, nope. Don't say anything about wanting to leave, because all of those things are consequences. But what they don't tell you is that when you're sitting at the lunch table or the breakfast table or the dinner table, you have to be 3 fingers away from the table. They don't tell you that because it's just instilled in them. They don't tell you that you have to have both feet flat on the fucking floor while you're eating. Otherwise, it's an unsatisfactory effort. They don't tell you that you need to have your napkin in your fucking lap every fucking day and that you need to have your arm flat on the table while you're eating with your other one and not your elbow.
I hate you.
They don't tell you this shit. So you're just sitting there, and at the end of those 3 days, when you get the majority of the ones, don't steal shit, don't lie, don't breathe, don't blink, don't fucking
fart,
talk, don't
do
anything without permission. All of those rules that they don't tell you is where you lose all of your points, and that's when you kind of realize the depth of the fucking situation that you're in, because you just, there's no fucking way to learn everything. So those 3 days were up. I spent my time in study hall. I got into my fights. I had my fun. I had my not fun. And you go through this. It's so hard to fucking to like legitimately put this into words, because while you're sitting there trying to learn this shit, they're like, okay, well, now that you know there's 80 million rules that you have to follow, now we're going to throw you into mental fuckery.
Oh God.
And you get called up and they're like, all right, seminar day, and you're like, what the fuck's a seminar? And they take you into this fucking room, which is the seminars were co-ed.
I said that when they called the name for seminar. I was like, what the fuck is a seminar? I said those
bring
exact
you into this
words.
room, and it's you and the girls, and you're like, oh shit, there's girls in here. So, you know, every single fucking super hormonal fucking guy is in there going, yo, those girls over there in skirts.
Yeah, they are, bro.
You're like, oh, can we? And then they're like, no talking. And you're like, oh, fuck, we'll figure out a way. We did.
We figured out a way.
But then you sit here and you're brought into this room, and now you're surrounded by, so when you first get in, you're put in a family. And those are the people that you live with. You are there. You do everything as a lower level with your family. Everything that you do is with them.
Watch them shit, shower with them.
So you get brought into this room, and you're no longer with your family. You're with a bunch of random-ass fucking kids from other families, and you're like, who the fuck are these people, and what the fuck is this? And they're like, open up your soul and talk to us. And you're like, in front of these people? Like, I don't fucking know them. And they're like, you need to work your program. And you're like, no, I don't want to. You're stuck in your image. What does that mean?
The fuck
and they
are
start
you talking
throwing
about?
all this fucking seminar brainwashing fucking jargon at you, and you're just trying to figure out what the fuck you're doing. and then just take it from there, and it just keeps fucking going. So, not even gonna get into the middle shit of there and the fucking drama and the fucking dorm parents and a couple ones in particular. And yes, I was there for the riot. Yes, we will eventually talk about the riot.
Yeah,
Am I gonna do this right now? No.
We were there for the riot. We were. He had a much more lively one than we did in Dorm 2, but that will all come in future episodes, guys.
Yeah, I'll let you. I'll give you all the little fucking sneak peek about it. The riot happened, as you all saw in the documentary, and talked about pulling the fire alarm, and people were running into the facility. What they didn't tell you about that is me, and I have legitimate video proof of this.
I know you do. I know you do.
Downstairs dorm 1, you see me running into my room, running out, whipping on my fucking jacket, and duck into a room, and you never see me again on that camera.
Nope.
Because I went into that fucking room and yanked the fucking window open, kicked out the fucking gate, and dipped. And I was gonna try and fucking run. I ran out into the back, kicked out the fucking one of the boards of the fence, and went out into the woods and went, fuck. So I decided I wanted to go over to Dorm 2 instead to try and find him. But anyways, we'll get into that stuff at a fucking later time. But
and he found me. I was banging on the window like a fucking monkey in a zoo.
Ultimately, you know, from my side of things, as I said, it was 50-50 for me. I went in, I didn't want to do it, and I lost all fucking hope. And I was like, fuck, the only way I'm going to get out of here is if I do it. So I started to quote-unquote work the program, but my way, which basically meant being as sneaky as humanly possible. And the thing that they don't tell you is as you get to that point, and then they're like, oh, well, when you had upper levels, you know, you were more of a person. You had that freedom. You got to do this. You got to do that. What they don't tell you is even the upper levels, if we didn't give consequences to the lower levels, we got harassed for it. We got in trouble for not giving out enough corrections. So they forced us as upper levels to uphold the standards and give corrections to the lower levels, so we would showing that we're trying to hold people accountable. And they don't really fucking tell you that, and they don't fucking tell you what that does to you when you're sitting there and you're like, well, I don't want to be a dick, but I fucking have to, otherwise I'm fucked.
Mm-hmm.
All I gotta say is I don't know if I would have ever actually successfully graduated that program. I made it to level 4, and I was put on probation. And I was back in my lower level family, still technically a level 4, but stuck in the lower level family because I would have had to revote up. And just, if I wouldn't have gotten pulled and I would have been there till my 18th birthday as a guarantee, and I just would have dipped.
You and me both.
I can wholeheartedly fucking say that. So we'll talk more about different portions and sections of the program and different things and our experiences on it. But all I know is when I got out and figured out about the whole accreditation thing, and she changed her name to Airwife.
Yes.
The accreditation issues and everything of the sort led to some pretty fucked up shit that happened after the fact, and the shit that happened in it just kind of extended past and after the program as well, because well, we all got shafted in there for credit. So while we thought we were done with it, the place kept fucking us up well after the fact.
Yep.
And by some fucking miracle, I was able to find him outside of the program, and we wound up meeting up. And we've kept in touch ever since. And I say he is the first person that I met up with, that I got in contact with after the program, and the one that I've stayed in touch with the longest.
My kids call you Uncle Jack, and yours call me Uncle Nick. Oh, if that doesn't say how fucking tight me and this man are, I don't know what else to fucking say to you.
So anybody that asked the question if there's anything that was a positive about Ivy Ridge, it was meeting him.
Me meeting that guy right there in that square.
And the innate ability to pick up on people's bullshit and being really good at manipulation.
Okay, it's fucking me up because on my stream, you're next to me on this side where I'm pointing. Yeah, but on your stream, I'm pointing away from you, so I look like I'm pointing at fucking. No, I hate you.
Because I just have your video mirrored.
that guy
all.
in the box.
Exactly.
I have to do this for yours and mine. But yeah. So now that you guys know about us, all right, you guys have got reintroduced to us, and you guys understand where we're coming from. All right. We do have goals with this podcast. All right. We touched on it before, but we're gonna dig into it here for about 5 minutes or so. Myself and Jack talked about this in depth years ago for a long time, and then revisited it once, the community was kind of calling for something like this. So our goals for this podcast are right now, Academy of Ivy Ridge is the hot topic. Okay. It's a community that we have the easiest access to and the largest amount of access to. So first, we're going to start off with Academy of Ivy Ridge with other survivors. Not only are we going to try to talk to survivors, if the survivors allow us to, we're going to talk to their spouses, if they are married or in a serious relationship. Parents, family members, if they allow us to. We are not going to force anybody to do anything they don't want to do. But there is going to be a time where we are going to branch off. We're going to try to talk to people from Tranquility Bay, Casa by the Sea, fucking Aspen, Eagle. I mean, there's tons of them. And we will reach out to as many people as we possibly can from those programs that were around when we were in the program. But we're also going to do our best to try to reach out to people that are from most recent programs as well and get them on to tell their story, because this shit, these atrocities, these crimes are still happening today. These crimes are continuing today under a new name, under new ownerships, all still being led by the same son of a bitch who you guys saw in the documentary. I'm not going to say his name, but all signs point to those kind of people. On top of it, there are celebrities. A very certain celebrity who's very famous for his bald head and mustache, who calls himself a doctor, who still is pushing children and their parents to go to these kinds of programs. Our goal with this
random intervention here for this one, because of the certain famous person he just mentioned. We discovered something literally last night.
Yep.
And we spent a ridiculous amount of time,
2-3 hours on it,
full diving into this shit to find survivor testimonials, parent testimonials, the fucking daily schedule for the place, all the shit, diving further back into finding fucking reviews, Reddit posts, everything is sort about this place. And I was like, oh yeah, well, I'm adding this to the fucking list right now. When he says we're going to take this and go into everything in regards to the TTI,
we're going.
That's exactly what we're going to be doing.
Our largest goal that we have, and it is a lofty goal, but the largest goal that we have, there is a new documentary that came out about the child stars in Nickelodeon. Our loftiest goal is to somehow get in touch with them and basically compare notes and expose this issue, and not just TTI, but this issue as a whole that is plaguing not just our nation, but it's a worldwide issue. That is probably our highest set goal, because imagine if we could get their followers, their fans, their backing, along with the army of now adults and teenagers that have been affected by the TTI, we would become an absolute nightmare that nobody has been ready for. So those are the goals of this podcast. That is where we want to head. That is what we're looking at as far as the bigger picture. And we're already doing that work. Recently, to touch on some of the current events that have happened, which is the next part we were going to lead into. Recently, Jack and I were involved in a 4-person panel interview along with Steve and Chelsea. And
well, no, you got to preface this.
Oh,
you got to preface this.
Okay,
Remember
go ahead.
how? I don't know. So basically, last week when we dove into letting people know the process of what's going on with the lawsuits and things that are being researched and looked into right now, because there's nothing officially announced, nothing has been decided yet. But we told you all that last week that if you're going to get involved in this fight, that it's going to be a fight, and that we're not obviously being quiet anymore. We're going to do it, and we'll be the ones that have the target on our back. Last night, we literally did just that.
And that was evident because for those of you, like I said earlier, I am a victim of sexual assault and abuse. I had spoke about it publicly on another interview, and then I also spoke about it in the most recent interview that we did. I didn't go into details, but I mentioned that there was 4 individuals that had accosted me in this way, and that we aren't going to be quiet about this anymore. I've said that in other interviews. So with all of that, okay, shortly after that interview, which was on live national TV, you can find it on Hulu if you go to News Nation on Hulu or their YouTube channel, News Nation. They have a podcast version of it. I was reached out to by 14 different people on my Facebook, thanking me, asking me to talk with them. One of those women had spoke to me about her great nephew. I'm not going to say names or whatnot. I'm going to protect their identity. And was telling me about a program that he was sent to. And we were talking about Ivy Ridge and that program. And she exclaimed, "Oh my God, that sounds exactly where he is now." And when Jack heard me read that out loud, we instantly did a 2.5, 2 hour, 3 hour dive into this program. And it is linked to so many other programs. That target is on our backs. And this is a fight that is going to get hard. We know that there's going to be a slander campaign against us. We know that there's going to be people trying to discredit us. We know that there's going to be people reaching out that just want to see us silenced again. And we're not going to let it happen. We have too many brothers and sisters, too many airheads that we can't and we won't. That, and there's too many people out there right now that don't know about this documentary, that don't know about this fight ongoing. We've seen it in our private group that us survivors have. Because of that documentary and us speaking out just on Facebook, people have pulled their kids from programs. People have changed their minds about sending kids to these programs. This fight and what we're doing is so much larger than us. It's not even comprehensible. And if I need to put a target on my back and Jack needs to put one on his, well, then so fucking be it. And we aren't going to stop. And we're not going to be silenced. We were silenced for 20 years. And we're here for it. We're here for the long haul. This podcast is going to continue. This podcast, we're going to have some deep dives. We're going to get people in here and do interviews. And if you guys care about change and you care about the voice of change and you want to be a part of the solution, make sure you guys stay tuned every week and listen to the podcast every other week, because that's what we're going to do. Brick by brick.
If we have to do it that way.
Brick by brick. It will all come crumbling down.
We all know this isn't going to be easy. We're well aware. And
no.
While this is definitely a different tactic for us to be able to come forward and do these things and use these platforms for this, we know it's not going to be easy. But that being said, anything worth doing isn't.
I mean, bro, I had guys hit me in my DM saying thank you for speaking out. Like how there's not enough of us speaking out. How it's not recognized enough, and because so many men are so not afraid, but they feel like we can't speak up because it undermines us as men. You know, it shows we were we were overpowered, and there's nothing more we hate than that. And I'm not gonna stop. I'm not ever gonna stop. And I know Jack's gonna be right there with me. And I know all the airheads will be right behind us, just ready and waiting.
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm going to bed. I'm done.
Can I come cuddle?
I don't want to do this no more. I'm going to go to bed.
I'm tired. I'm going to take a nap right here.
Exactly. That's exactly how this fucking goes. But no, we know. And having you all here with us while we're doing this is an amazing thing. It's something that we've searched for years, and whether it was an intentional search or not, or just hoping that any time that this topic would come up and we would talk about it, just hoping that anyone would be like, oh shit, like really? And just believe it. And the fact that we're here now is fantastic. We have people that not quite understand, I shouldn't use that, but we have people that believe it and people that are trying.
People that are empathizing and sympathizing. I mean, you're talking about a documentary that was in the top 10. That was in the top 2 of Netflix for 2 weeks straight. That's still in the top 10, 3 weeks, going on, 4 weeks soon. That doesn't it's a documentary. That doesn't happen. And no. I'm going to give credit where credit's due. Alexa, Catherine, Molly, Dominic, Quentin, Catherine, everybody that was involved in that documentary. And I know there's some people that weren't in the documentary that helped with the files. Some people that I talked to, one of them being Kyle, who was in Success Family at one point with me for a little bit. Like, all of y'all, man, we love you. We love you. Alexa, for the courage she had. Catherine, for the courage she had with her dad and putting it all on camera. Molly, with her courage and sharing everything. I know I'm missing somebody. Allison? Yeah. I knew I was missing that. Sorry, Allison. I'm kind of stupid. I've said that numerous times in the group. Forgive me. Like, you guys, all of you, we are here because of you. And we're at this point because of what you guys did. Nikki on top of that, too. Like, look, we love you guys, man. And I don't think you guys are getting enough credit from anybody. Although I know you guys are out there pushing and charging and speaking. And another person I want to thank that I never thought I'd ever say thank you to is Paris Hilton. Because a year ago, Paris Hilton brought a massive fucking eyes to this. And without her, without everybody involved in the documentary, Nikki, fucking Catherine, all of you guys are just, your strength gave us strength and helped us get our voices back. And then, again, I tip my hat to the locals up there in upstate New York, near Ogdensburg and the surrounding areas that are supporting us, that are backing us, that are hearing our stories, that aren't letting them fade away. And to the people that we've reached nationwide. I mean, there's people talking about this in Cali. There's people talking about it in Utah, Nevada, Montana, Texas. There's people all across this country. The people in CASA are starting to get some closure and starting to get some weight lifted off their shoulders with their files recently getting recovered. And it's all because of a documentary on Netflix. With that, in the first week, had over 7 million views. A fucking documentary. Unheard of. Everybody, y'all deserve a fucking round of applause. I tip my hat to all of you. And to everybody that's talking about their experiences and sharing their stories. You guys do that. That gives me courage. That gives Jack courage. Y'all are why we're here right now. This is why we're doing this. So thank you. Thank you to everybody that's here. Thank you to everybody that's supporting us. And thank you to all the airheads. I love all of you. I truly do. And that's all I got for this episode, brother. What do you got?
I mean, you kind of said it all, so do it with that. So ultimately, we just go with thank you guys for coming to the inaugural episode and hanging with us as we decided to go down this path. Obviously, after this, now we'll be going into the Q&A, so the streams and all that will still be going. So we will be hanging out and being able to stick here with all y'all. But for everybody in here and for everybody that's going to be listening to this in the future, stay tuned. This will be bi-weekly for now. We'll keep this going. We'll keep the momentum going. As long as we have you here with us, supporting us for it, we're not going to stop. Thank you all for coming and hanging out. And seriously, fucking